Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Natural News. I'm your host, and today we're diving into something that's both fascinating and deeply concerning. We've got insights from an interview with John Perkins, the author of Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and I have to tell you, this conversation with Mike Adams is packed with revelations that could change the way you see the world. John Perkins is not just any author, he's a former economic hitman. Now that might sound like something out of a spy novel, but it's very real. His job was to identify countries with valuable resources and then arrange huge loans from institutions like the World Bank. But here's the twist. The money never actually went to those countries. Instead, it went straight to U.S. corporations, which used it to build infrastructure projects in those nations. Think highways, airports, and ports. Projects that primarily benefited the wealthy. This system, as Perkins explains, is what he calls the debt trap. Countries end up deeply in debt, and to pay it off, they have to divert funds from essential services like education and healthcare. The result? The majority of the population suffers, while a select few profit. It's a system that, according to Perkins, is still very much in play today. One of the most striking examples he mentions is Ukraine. A lot of the money that the U.S. claims to send to Ukraine ends up in the coffers of U.S. weapons corporations. This not only indebts Ukraine, but also perpetuates a cycle of conflict and economic dependence. It's a double whammy, as Perkins puts it. But it's not just the U.S. anymore. China has entered the game and is doing it in a much more efficient way. They're building ports and infrastructure across Latin America, Africa, and beyond. China's pitch is compelling. They offer a path to economic growth without the strings attached that the U.S. often imposes. They're even building a new Silk Road, integrating these countries into a global trading network. The shift in global power dynamics is evident. In the year 2000, the U.S. was the top trading partner for about 80% of the world's countries. Today, that title belongs to China. This shift is not just economic. It's also a shift in influence and power. The U.S. is losing ground, and the way it has been handling international relations, through sanctions and military threats, seems to be backfiring. Perkins points out that the weaponization of the U.S. dollar, seen in sanctions against countries like Russia, often hurts the people of those nations more than their leaders. It also weakens the dollar's status as the world's primary trading currency, which China and other countries are keen to capitalize on. The rise of alternative currencies and trade blocs, like the BRICS, is a clear sign that the world is looking for alternatives to U.S. dominance. One of the most pressing issues is America's approach to China. The rhetoric from some U.S. leaders about China being a threat and the need to defeat them is not only unrealistic, but counterproductive. China is a major player in the global economy, and cutting off trade would hurt both countries. Instead of bullying, Perkins suggests a more collaborative approach, one that recognizes the mutual benefits of cooperation. He also highlights the importance of addressing issues like immigration by investing in the development of other countries. For example, the free trade agreements in Central America have led to the collapse of local agriculture, pushing people to migrate to the U.S. A better approach would be to invest in these countries' economies, helping them to thrive and reducing the need for migration. Perkins's insights are a wake-up call. They challenge us to think critically about the role of the U.S. in the world and the systems that have been in place for decades. It's not just about ethics, it's about practicality. The world is changing, and the U.S. needs to adapt if it wants to remain a positive force in global affairs. So what can we do? Perkins suggests we start by educating ourselves and others about these issues. He encourages us to support policies that promote collaboration and mutual growth. And most importantly, he reminds us that we are living in a pivotal time in human history. The choices we make today will shape the world for generations to come. If you want to learn more, I highly recommend checking out John Perkins's book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and subscribing to his newsletter at johnperkins.org. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's work together to create a better, more just world. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
This has been a Brighteon.ai summary of an interview between John Perkins and Mike Adams on February 3rd, 2025. The full interview is available at BrightLearn.com, where you can also find podcasts and special reports by Mike Adams and other creators. Visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage of this interview and breaking news on critical stories that will keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.